Child sacrifice, said to be an ancient practice upheld by witch doctors, has re-emerged in Uganda. A BBC investigation has discovered that many cases are not followed up by the police and little is being done to protect potential victims. According to a major report released today by the charity Jubilee campaign, around 900 Ugandan children have fallen victim to the practice. Our correspondent Chris Rogers travelled to the capital Kampala, where he met one victim who managed to survive the ordeal. Some viewers may find the content of this report very disturbing.
He did suffer brain damage, which is permanent, unfortunately.
They call him the miracle child.
Being young,
A machete was sliced through Alan's head and neck in an attempt to behead him. He was also castrated. The work of witch doctors, attempting child sacrifice.
You see, this is where the cut was. There is a bone missing here.
The 9-year-old's mutilated body was found just a mile from his home. It was a month before he woke from a coma. Doctors are surprised Alan survived, but he will need a lifetime of emotional and physical therapy. Child sacrifice, a juju ritual, was rare here until 3 years ago, when it re-emerged, coinciding with a boom in Uganda's economy. It's widely believed that some members of the new elite are paying witch doctors vast sums of money for an ancient practice, in the belief it'll bring them greater wealth and good health. But these people do not sacrifice their own children. In the villages that surround the capital Kampala, I hear horrific stories. This is where you found the body. Tepenesi found the decapitated body of her 6-year-old grandson, Stephen. He'd been missing for 24 hours. The local witch doctor admitted to sacrificing Stephen. Tepenesi told me that the police didn't want to investigate.
They offered me money to keep quiet.
She refused the offer. Uganda has a child sacrifice police task force, but families complain of corruption and slow investigations. Alan's father, Semwanga, has sold his home to pay for Alan's medical treatment and moved to the slums near the capital. They are also waiting for justice. The men Alan claims kidnapped him for sacrifice live in this village. They were arrested and released without charge. But members of this community have told us that they continue to take children and sacrifice them. Posing as businessmen, we asked around for a witch doctor who could bring success to our local construction project. We were introduced to this man, Awali.
We have to go inside.
Go inside.
During the first meeting, Awali sacrificed a goat to bring luck to the business. A few days later, we were invited back to his shrine to discuss what he regards as the most powerful spell, child sacrifice.
There are 2 ways of doing this. We can bury the child alive on your construction site, or we cut the child and put their blood in a bottle of spiritual medicine. If it's a male, the whole head is cut off, and his genitals. We will dig a hole at your construction site and bury the feet and the hands and put them all together in the hole.
Alan, do you recognize this man?
Awali.
And is he one of the men that took you, Alan?
Awali.
Yes?
Yeah.
It's too dangerous to confront Awali, so we informed the police of our findings. Official police figures show 38 children have been victims of sacrifice since 2006, a number based solely on conclusive investigations. Charities complain 900 reported cases remain outstanding, including Alan's.
If we get information that someone is involved in doing criminal activities, like it can be like a human sacrifice, we shall go and investigate, and if we prove the case against him, we shall take him to court. Sometimes the cases, the complaints are not proved.
These children.
Just when you thought occult worship couldn't get more mainstream, the Illuminati's media is now actively promoting the use of young blood in the quest to live forever.
Well, scientists have apparently found a way to reverse the effects of aging.
Now, this one sounds like something out of the movies, but young blood could be the key to reversing aging.
Some are calling it vampire therapy. Others see it potentially as the fountain of youth.
It was something, a cross between vampire and Frankenstein, where they took two animals and they hooked their blood supply together for 4 weeks, called parabiosis.
Imagine if you could turn back the clock 5, 10, even 15 years and reverse the effects of aging.
Fascinating.
It's a fascinating study, actually.
It's so fascinating.
Indeed, fascinating. What once was reserved for Gothic novels is now confirmed by scientists. They found that young blood actually recharges the brain, forms new blood vessels, and improves memory and learning. So far, the findings pertain to a particular strain of mice, but if results can be replicated in other strains, human trials won't be far off.
And the beauty business is already using blood to give that youthful glow.
Ever the trendsetter Kim Kardashian got a vampire facial. The gruesome procedure involves the re-injection of the patient's own blood platelets back into the skin in an effort to rejuvenate the face.
I think my skin looks better. No.
Maybe now she can try it with baby North's blood.
Now, I'm not going to lie, I am open to the thought of looking and feeling 15 years younger, but nobody is explaining who's going to be supplying the baby's blood.
Will we begin breeding humans simply for their ability to donate blood? The value of a child's life has already diminished in some circles to no more than their useful byproducts. An energy plant in Oregon burns aborted babies from Canada to generate electricity. And aborted babies are used to heat hospitals in the UK, their life force used in a waste-to-energy program. And one woman even posted a video of her abortion on YouTube in her narcissistic pursuit of fame.
I just want to share my story.
But what strikes me about this new science is how the belief that the fountain of youth can be tapped with young blood has been around forever. Throughout history, cultures across the globe have extolled the properties of youthful blood. Children are sacrificed, and the blood of young warriors was drunk by the victors. Lady Bathory was rumored to bathe in the blood of virgins to preserve her youthful looks. And of course, there's vampires who live forever by draining the blood of their victims. And the story goes, vamps find babies' blood the most rejuvenating. Some admit drinking blood for the energy they receive.
I get irritable without it. I get angry. I don't want to leave my house. I want my blood.
Drinking blood is trendy. Just ask Kesha, the queen of occult pop. And Satanists exalt the power found in the life force of children. Details of the history of child sacrifice are written about in Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier. A baby must be sacrificed to Satan in exchange for power. Springmeier notes how it's not the family name itself that holds the power for the Illuminati, but the very occultic blood pulsing through their veins. Hence all the intermarrying between these families to keep the potency of their bloodline pure. Youthful life force is wildly attractive to the powerful, who find covert ways to feed their insatiable thirst. The Franklin cover-up reveals one of the biggest pedophile scandals in the history of the USA. Boy prostitutes 15 years old and younger were taking midnight tours of the White House. And across the pond, BBC host Jimmy Savile was found to be involved in a child sex ring for VIPs. Interesting to note, Savile's good buddy Prince Charles is a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler, who you might know by his other name, Dracula.
From the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels, which has just concluded the trial of Jorge Bergoglio, so-called Pope Francis, Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Adolfo Pachon, head of the Jesuit order. Now, as you know, this case has been going on for several months concerning the involvement of these accused in child trafficking and murder. This is the communique that we received today by special post from Brussels. In the matter of the People versus Bergoglio et al., judgment of the magistrates of the court, including the majority decision with one dissenting opinion, issued in chambers Friday, July 18th, 2014. The unanimous judgment of the court is that the three primary defendants, Jorge Bergoglio, Adolfo Pechon and Justin Welby, have been convicted and are guilty as charged of aiding and abetting crimes against humanity, including murder and human trafficking, and of personal involvement in those crimes. Their guilt has been ably presented and proven beyond any reasonable doubt by the prosecution. The refusal of the defendants to respond to a lawful summons, to deny or refute the charges against them, or to present a counter case in their own defense, compelled the court to consider their silence as a de facto pro confesso plea in which their guilt was established by the refusal to enter a plea. Precedent has established that pro confesso, which is the refusal of a defendant to plea in a case of profound importance, provides the basis for the lawful conviction and deposing of rulers and responsible heads of church and state, as was found in the case of the People in Parliament versus Charles Stuart, January 3, 1649, in England. In this precedent, the High Court, established by the Parliament of England, ruled that the silence of heads of church and state when accused of crimes against their own people amounts to a confession by the accused of all of the charges made against them. January 22, 1649. Now, one of our colleagues offers a dissenting opinion. While concurring with the judgment that all three defendants are guilty as charged, the dissenting magistrate argues that pro confesso applies only when no other means exist to prevent such rulers from perpetrating tyranny and wars of aggression against their own people and their liberties, as was so the case in the historical case cited. The dissenting colleague argues that by convicting the defendants primarily under a pro confesso precedent, their actual guilt for the crimes cited can be construed to have been established according to a legal technicality. To quote our colleague's statement, quote, "The overwhelming guilt of these leaders for unspeakable crimes demands that we convict them not simply on the basis of a technicality, but according to the evidence alone, so that their guilt is crystal clear to the world and to posterity," unquote. The court has taken into account this dissenting opinion in formulating its final judgment. Accordingly, it is the unanimous judgment of the court that 1. The defendants Bergoglio, Pechon, and Welby are guilty as charged on 2 counts of organizing, aiding, and abetting crimes against humanity, including murder and human trafficking, and of personally participating in the routine and ritual rape, torture, and murder of children. 2. The defendants are sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole or pardon, and to the forfeiture of their assets, property, and authority. 3. The sworn sheriffs of the court and their affiliated direct action units established by the court on June 1, 2014, are ordered to immediately arrest and imprison the defendants at facilities provided by the court and to seize their property and assets. The public is asked to assist the sheriffs in this task. An open-ended international citizens arrest warrant will be issued by the court against the convicted persons within 48 hours of this judgment. 4. The court will produce a full public statement making it clear that the basis for its conviction of the defendants lay entirely in the hard evidence of their guilt, and that the refusal to plea, and hence the pro confesso judgment, was a contributing factor, but not the basis of the guilty sentence. 5. In addition, to emphasize that this conviction is not a limited one aimed only at the figurehead symbols of murderous regimes, as of September 1st, 2014, the court will establish an ongoing permanent inquiry to investigate and prosecute others involved in the crimes proven in this case and contained in the permanent court record. This inquiry shall be entitled the Permanent Commission into Child Trafficking and Ritual Sacrifice, and will have the power to subpoena and arrest and adjudicate cases before the court. The commission will be international in scope, have no time restriction, and will seek cooperation from governments, international agencies, and police forces with the aim of prosecuting and stopping forever the trafficking, ritual, torture, and murder of children. 6. To protect this new commission, its witnesses, officers, and evidence, the court record from the case of the People versus Bergoglio et al. Will remain sealed for now, along with the identity of the witnesses and court officers, with the exception of that permitted by the special and unanimous authorization